This lesson covers tenses in English grammar. Verb tenses tell us how an action relates to the flow of time. There are three main verb tenses in English: present, past, and future. The word tense comes from the Latin word tempus, which means time. A verb that refers to the present time is said to be in the present tense. The present tense is used to describe things that are happening right now, or things that are habitually performed, or a state that currently or generally exists. Examples: I eat. I write. Do you love the apple? He goes to school every day. She enjoys listening to the radio. I play cricket every weekend. In these sentences, the verbs eat, write, goes, enjoy, and play refer to present time. There are four forms of the present tense. Simple present tense, for example, I work. Present continuous tense, for example, I am working. Present perfect tense, for example, I have worked. Present perfect continuous tense, for example, I have been working. A verb that refers to past time is said to be in the past tense. The past tense is used to describe things that have already taken place. For example, yesterday, last week, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, etc. The past tense may also be used to describe imaginary situations. Examples: I loved. I ate the mango in his presence. She drove the car in the rain. I wish it was not so chilly. If he had worked hard, he would have succeeded. In these sentences, the verbs loved, ate, drove, was, worked, and succeeded refer to past time. There are four forms of the past tense. Simple past tense, for example, he drove. Past continuous tense, For example, he was driving. Past perfect tense. For example, he had driven. Past perfect continuous tense. For example, he had been driving. A verb that refers to future time is said to be in the future tense. The future tense describes things that have yet to take place. For example, later, tomorrow, next week, next year, 10 years from now, and so on. Examples: I shall eat. He will drive. I shall speak tomorrow. He will go to London next week. He will be a successful man 5 years from now. In these sentences, the verbs shall and will refer to future time. There are 4 forms of the future tense. Simple future tense, for example, I shall write. Future continuous tense, for example, I shall be writing. Future perfect tense, for example, I shall have written. Future perfect continuous tense, for example, I shall have been writing. This brings us to the end of this lesson. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss what is simple present tense. The simple present tense, also called present indefinite tense, is used to express a habitual action. Examples: he goes to school every day. He drinks apple juice every morning. I get up at 7 o'clock every day. The simple present tense is also used to express general truths. Examples: the sun rises in the east and sets in the west. The earth revolves around the sun. The simple present tense is also used to express exclamation, as in sentences starting with here or there to express what is currently taking place. Examples: here comes the groom. Here they go. The simple present tense is also used in vivid narrative as a substitute for the simple past. Examples: immediately, the king hurries to his palace. Jack now rushes forward and deals a heavy blow to John. The simple present tense is used to describe a future event or program that is part of a fixed timetable. Examples: the next flight to London is at 9:15 tomorrow morning. The cricket match begins at 5 o'clock. The train arrives at 4:30 p.m. When does the ice cream shop reopen? The university opens on 25th September. When does the next bus leave for London? The movie starts at 3:30 and ends at 6. The simple present tense is also used to introduce quotations. Example: a thing of beauty is a joy forever. This quotation is by John Keats. The simple present tense is often used for future time in clauses with if, unless, when, while, before, after, until, by the time, and as soon as. Examples: Tom will not leave if it rains, not will rain. Can I eat some chocolate before I go to bed? Let's wait till she finishes her task. Please give me a call as soon as he arrives. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the simple present tense. Let's now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the simple present tense can be expressed as do or does plus not plus root form of the verb. The interrogative form of the simple present tense can be expressed as do or does plus subject plus root form of the verb plus question mark. Examples: John goes to school. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John does not go to school. The interrogative form is does John go to school? Now consider this example. Jill loves mangoes. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is Jill does not love mangoes. You can also use doesn't instead of does not. The interrogative form is does Jill love mangoes? Now consider this example. I get up at 7 o'clock every day. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is I do not get up at 7 o'clock every day. You can use don't instead of do not. The interrogative form is do I get up at 7 o'clock every day? This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss what is present perfect continuous tense. The present perfect continuous tense is used for an action which began at some point in the past and is still continuing. The present perfect continuous tense has the form subject plus has been or have been plus root form of the verb plus ing. Examples: They have been playing since 4 o'clock. I have been reading Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. He has been sleeping for 5 hours, which means he is still sleeping. They have been building the bridge for several months. So this action, building the bridge, is an ongoing action, which means that it is still going on. Jill has not been feeling well lately. The present perfect continuous tense may also be used to describe an action that has already been completed. In this case, the continuity of the activity serves to lay emphasis on the explanation of the action performed. Examples: why are your clothes so muddy? I have been rolling over in the garden. This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss what is present continuous tense. The present continuous tense is used for an action that is going on at the time of speaking. Examples: it is raining heavily outside. Children are playing in the park. Tom is going to school right now. Alia is cooking food in the kitchen. The present continuous tense is also used for a temporary action that actually may not be happening at the time of speaking. Examples: I am reading Pride and Prejudice, but I am not reading at this moment. The present continuous tense is also used for an action that has been arranged to take place in the near future. Examples: I am going to the cinema tonight. My uncle is arriving tomorrow. As we discussed earlier, the simple present tense may be used to indicate a habitual action. However, in case of an obstinate habit that persists despite warning or advice, the present continuous tense is used along with some adverb such as always, continually, constantly. Example: My cat is very silly. She is always running out into the road. Stative verbs are used to describe some state and not some action and are generally not used in continuous form. The stative verbs could be verbs of senses and perception, for example, see, hear, smell, notice, look, seem, taste, feel, be, appear. Stative verbs could also be verbs of feelings and emotions. For example, want, wish, adore, desire, feel, like, love, dislike, hope, hate, appreciate. Stative verbs could also be verbs of thoughts and opinions. For example, believe, think, agree, consider, suspect, remember, forget, suppose, know, understand, imagine, wonder, guess, doubt, contemplate. Stative verbs could also be verbs of possession and measurement. For example, have, own, belong, possess, contain, weigh, measure. Examples: these grapes are tasting sour. This is wrong. The correct form is these grapes taste sour. I am thinking she is right. This is wrong. The correct form is I think she is right. He is looking sad. This is wrong. He looks sad. This is the correct form. He is having a smartphone. This is wrong. He has a smartphone. This is the correct form. Nonetheless, the verbs just mentioned may be used in continuous form by modifying the meaning. For example, she is tasting the food to see if it requires more spices. Taste here means check the flavor of. I am thinking of visiting Turkey soon. Think of means reflect on the idea of. Tom is having dinner. Have here means eat. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the present continuous tense. Let's now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the present continuous tense can be expressed as subject plus is or are plus not plus root form of the verb plus ing. The interrogative form of the present continuous tense can be expressed as is or are plus subject plus root form of the verb plus ing plus question mark. Examples: John is going to school. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John is not going to school. Is John going to school? This is the interrogative form. Jill is driving the car. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is Jill is not driving the car. The interrogative form is Jill driving the car? Children are playing in the park. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is children are not playing in the park. The interrogative form is are children playing in the park? This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss present perfect tense. The present perfect tense may be used to describe actions just completed, or in other words, in the immediate past. Examples: John has just gone outside. The clock has just struck 11. The present perfect tense is also used to indicate an action whose time is unspecified or indefinite. Examples: Have you read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen? We have met before. We have drunk apple juice here. I have never known him to be dishonest. Mr. Steve has been to Manchester. The present perfect tense is also used to describe past events when their effect is more visible in the present than the past action itself. Examples: Tanya has eaten all the cookies. There isn't any cookie left for you. The dentist has removed my tooth and it is hurting now. John has finished his homework. Now he is free. The present perfect tense is also used to describe an action that began at some point in the past and it is still happening. Examples: I haven't seen John for several weeks. I have known him for years. He has had the typhoid since Wednesday. Robert has been ill since last week. We have lived in Cardiff for 10 years. Please bear in mind, the present perfect is never used with adverbs that indicate past time. Thus, we shouldn't say, for instance, he has gone to Leeds yesterday. This is wrong. In such a situation, we must use simple past. So instead, we must say he went to Leeds yesterday. So this is the correct form. What is really important is that the present perfect shouldn't be used if you want to be specific about when the action took place. Examples: I have put away all the garbage this morning. This is wrong. The correct form is I have put away all the garbage. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the present perfect tense. Let's now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the present perfect tense can be expressed as has or have plus not plus past participle. The interrogative form of the present perfect tense can be expressed as has or have plus subject plus past participle plus question mark. Examples: John has gone to school. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John has not gone to school. We can use hasn't instead of has not. The interrogative form is has John go to school? Now consider this example. Jill has finished her homework. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is Jill has not finished her homework. The interrogative form is has Jill finished her homework? Now consider this example. People have gathered outside the minister's office. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is people have not gathered outside the minister's office. You can use haven't instead of have not. The interrogative form is have people gathered outside the minister's office? This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss simple past tense. The simple past tense, also called past indefinite tense, is used to indicate an activity completed in the past. Examples: John won the gold medal. Jack and Jill went up the hill. The simple past tense is often used together with adverbs or adverb phrases of past time when referring to an activity completed in the past. Examples: I received his email yesterday. John left the college last year. Chuck went on vacations last month. It may also be the case that in simple past tense, the underlying context may define time, thus eliminating the need for adverbs of time. Examples: I learned French in Paris. I didn't sleep well, that is, last night. The Allies defeated Germany in Europe. Of course, we are referring to the World War II. The context here tells us that we are referring to World War II and we don't need to specify adverbs of time, okay? The simple past is also used to describe past habits. Examples: she ate an apple every day. He always carried his laptop. He used to exercise every day. He would visit his family every weekend. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the simple past tense. Let's now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the simple past tense can be expressed as subject plus did not plus root form of the verb. The interrogative form of the simple past tense can be expressed as did plus subject plus root form of the verb plus question mark. Examples: John went to school. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John did not go to school. The interrogative form is did John go to school? Jill won the bronze medal. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is Jill did not win the bronze medal. Please note that we can use the contraction didn't instead of did not. The interrogative form is, did Jill win the bronze medal? Now consider this example. He ate an apple in the breakfast. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is, he did not eat an apple in the breakfast. The interrogative form is, did he eat an apple in the breakfast? If the verb is to be, the negative form of the simple past can be expressed as subject plus was not or were not. If the verb is to be, the interrogative form of the simple past can be expressed as was or were plus subject. Examples: the team was upset after it lost the match. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is, the team was not upset after it lost the match. We can use the contraction wasn't instead of was not. The interrogative form is, was the team upset after it lost the match? The passengers were safe after the bus met an accident. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is, the passengers were not safe after the bus met an accident. We can use the contraction weren't instead of were not. The interrogative form is, were the passengers safe after the bus met an accident? This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss past continuous tense. The past continuous tense, also called past progressive tense, is used to denote a continuing action, or in other words, an action that was going on at some point in the past. In past continuous tense, the time of the activity may or may not be specified. Examples: we were playing badminton in the evening. It was getting really cold. At 1 o'clock, I was having lunch. The past continuous tense is used together with simple past to indicate that something was going on continuously in the past when a new action interrupted it. Examples: the spectators were enjoying until the match was cancelled. I was making tea when she arrived. He switched off the light while I was reading. When I met him, he was having his breakfast. The past continuous tense may also be used to describe habitual past actions using adverbs such as continually, always, constantly. Examples: she was always reading novels at home in those days. He was constantly grumbling at price hike. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the past continuous tense. Let's now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the past continuous tense can be expressed as subject plus was or were plus not plus root form of the verb plus ing. The interrogative form of the past continuous tense can be expressed as was or were plus subject plus root form of the verb plus ing plus question mark. Examples: John was going to school. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John was not going to school. The interrogative form is was John going to school? Now let's look at this example. Jill was driving the car. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is Jill was not driving the car. The interrogative form is was Jill driving the car? Now let's consider another example. Children were playing in the park. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is children were not playing in the park. The interrogative form is were children playing in the park? This brings us to the end of this lesson. See you in the next lesson. This lesson covers the past perfect tense. The past perfect tense has the form had plus past participle of the verb. For example, had finished. Examples: she had completed her assignment. He had wasted all the money. John had gone to Australia. The past perfect tense is used to talk about actions that were completed before some moment in the past. If two actions took place in the past, it might be essential to state which action happened earlier than the other. In such a scenario, we use past perfect tense. We use simple past in one clause and past perfect in the other. Examples: when we reached the airport, the plane had taken off, which means we couldn't get into the plane. I had finished my homework when my friend came to see me. The patient had died before the doctor arrived. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the past perfect tense. Let's now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the past perfect tense can be expressed as subject plus had not plus past participle. The interrogative form of the past perfect tense can be expressed as had plus subject plus past participle plus question mark. Examples: John had gone to school. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John had not gone to school. The interrogative form is had John gone to school? Jill had taken off from work for a week. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is Jill hadn't taken off from work for a week. Hadn't is the contraction for had not. The interrogative form is had Jill taken off from work for a week? She had finished the project before the deadline. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is she had not finished the project before the deadline. The interrogative form is had she finished the project before the deadline? The past perfect is also used in conditional statements. In conditional statements, we use past perfect in the part of the sentence that expresses the condition, that is, after if. And then we use would have plus past participle in the second part of the sentence. Examples. If he had worked hard, he would have succeeded. If I had got up earlier this morning, I would have reached office on time. This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss the past perfect continuous tense. The past perfect continuous tense is used to describe an action that started before a particular time in the past and continued up until that time. The past perfect continuous tense has the form subject plus had been plus present participle of the verb, that is root form of the verb plus ing. For example, he had been reading. The words that are used alongside the past perfect continuous tense are for, since, before, and when. Examples. At that time, Maria had been writing her dissertation for 3 weeks. When Mr. Bob joined the office in 2009, Mr. John had already been working there for 7 years. He had been eating peanut butter when his mother entered the house. Jane had been working at the marketing agency for 7 years when Jill got the promotion. Tom had been living in Manchester since 2005 when he decided to move to London. George had been playing cricket with his friends for 2 years before he decided to join the school's cricket team. She had been staring at the flower for 2 minutes before she decided to pluck it. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the past perfect continuous tense. Let us now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the past perfect continuous tense can be expressed as subject plus had not been plus present participle of the verb, that is root plus ing. For example, he had not been reading. The interrogative form of the past perfect continuous tense can be expressed as had plus subject plus been plus present participle of the verb plus question mark. For example, had he been reading? Now let us consider some more examples. John had been studying 2 hours daily before he became ill. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John had not been studying 2 hours daily before he became ill. The interrogative form is had John been studying 2 hours daily before he became ill? Mr. David had been working at school since 1982 when he decided to resign. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is Mr. David had not been working at school since 1982 when he decided to resign. The interrogative form is had Mr. David been working at school since 1982 when he decided to resign? This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss what is simple future tense. The simple future tense, also called future indefinite tense, is used to describe things that haven't taken place yet. The simple future tense has the form shall or will plus root form of the verb. Examples: I shall try my best to finish this task by tomorrow. Mariam will learn Arabic language. This year, Alice will read Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. The simple future tense is also used to indicate things that are beyond our control. In other words, we may say the simple future tense merely states the future as a fact. Examples: Charles will turn 40 next year. It will be Eid al-Fitr next Monday. The result of the test will be announced tomorrow. The simple future tense may also be used to express what we believe or expect will take place in future. Examples: I guess Australia will win the Cricket World Cup. I am sure Mike will clear the medical exam. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the simple future tense. Let us now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the simple future tense can be expressed as shall or will plus not plus root form of the verb. The interrogative form of the simple future tense can be expressed as shall or will plus subject plus root form of the verb plus question mark. Examples: John will go to school. This is the affirmative form. John will not go to school. This is the negative form. Please notice that you can use the contraction want instead of will not. The interrogative form is will John go to school? Now let's consider another example. John will buy an ice cream tomorrow. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John will not buy an ice cream tomorrow. The interrogative form is will John buy an ice cream tomorrow? I shall write a letter to my friend. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is I shall not write a letter to my friend. We can use the contraction shan't instead of shall not. The interrogative form is shall I write a letter to my friend? This brings us to the end of this lesson. See you in the next lesson. This lesson covers the going to form. In the last lesson, we discussed the simple future tense. Another form which may be used to express something that will happen in future is the going to form. Going to form uses the formula is or are or am plus going to plus root form of the verb. Examples: I am going to learn German language. Catherine is going to read that novel. The going to form is also used to describe something that seems probable or certain to happen, or when something in the present informs about the future. Examples: Frank is late already. I don't think he's going to reach school on time. The truck is overloaded. Its tire is going to burst. It is cloudy right now. Looks like it is going to rain. They are soon going to have their second child. The going to form is also used to talk about an action which is about to happen. Examples: Let's get into the bus. It's going to leave. The balloon is going to burst. Please bear in mind that the going to form is considered casual or informal. In formal writing, shall or will plus root form of the verb is preferred. This brings us to the end of this lesson. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss what is future continuous tense. The future continuous tense, also called future progressive tense, is used to indicate actions which will be in progress at a particular moment in future. The future continuous tense is used to indicate an action that begins at some point in future and goes on for an expected duration of time. The future continuous tense has the form shall or will plus be plus present participle of the verb. The present participle of the verb is the root form of the verb plus ing. Examples: John will be studying for his exam tonight. I shall be eating ice cream at the ice cream parlor tomorrow. I shall be waiting for you when you arrive at the airport. Jenny will be cooking food this time tomorrow. The future continuous tense is also used to describe pre-planned actions, or in other words, such actions that are expected to occur in the normal course of things. Examples: Charles will be running a marathon next Monday. I shall be attending the official meeting at 4 o'clock. I shall be playing cricket match tomorrow. The delivery boy will be arriving soon. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the future continuous tense. Let us now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the future continuous tense can be expressed as shall or will plus not plus be plus present participle of the verb. The interrogative form of the future continuous tense can be expressed as shall or will plus subject plus be plus present participle of the verb plus question mark. Examples: John will be going to school tomorrow. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John will not be going to school tomorrow. We can use the contraction won't instead of will not. So you can say John won't be going to school tomorrow. The interrogative form is will John be going to school tomorrow? Now let's consider another example. John will be playing cricket in the evening. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is John will not be playing cricket in the evening. The interrogative form is will John be playing cricket in the evening? Now here is another example. I shall be fasting from dawn to dusk tomorrow. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is I shall not be fasting from dawn to dusk tomorrow. We can use the contraction shan't instead of shall not. The interrogative form is shall I be fasting from dawn to dusk tomorrow? This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss what is future perfect tense. The future perfect tense is used to talk about actions that will be completed by a certain time in future. The future perfect tense has the form shall have or will have plus past participle. Examples: Tom will have finished his homework by then. By the end of his run, he will have completed 10 miles. By the end of this year, I shall have served this company for 10 years. I shall have completed this task before 6 o'clock tomorrow. By next week, Tom and Tina will have been married for 17 years. The future perfect tense is also used to describe actions that will be completed before some other time in future. Examples: The train will have left by the time Tanya reaches the station. John will have finished his lunch before he reaches the airport today. The snow will have ended by the time Frank reaches Bristol. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the future perfect tense. Let us now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the future perfect tense can be expressed as subject plus shall or will plus not have plus past participle of the verb. The interrogative form of the future perfect tense can be expressed as shall or will plus subject plus have plus past participle of the verb plus question mark. Now consider these examples. He will have reached London before 3 o'clock tomorrow. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is he will not have reached London before 3 o'clock tomorrow. The interrogative form is will he have reached London before 3 o'clock tomorrow? Now consider one more example. Her mother will have cooked the meal by the time Sarah reaches home. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is her mother will not have cooked the meal by the time Sarah reaches home. The interrogative form is will her mother have cooked the meal by the time Sarah reaches home? This brings us to the end of this lesson. I hope you found this lesson useful. See you in the next lesson. In this lesson, we will discuss the future perfect continuous tense. The future perfect continuous tense or the future perfect progressive tense is used to describe actions that will continue to happen until some point in the future. The future perfect continuous tense or the future perfect progressive tense describes an activity that may have started at some time in the past, present, or future, but progresses over a period of time that ends in the future. The future perfect continuous tense has the form subject plus shall or will plus have been plus present participle, which is the root form of the verb plus ing. Examples: by next March, Jill will have been teaching at school for 10 years. By next month, I shall have been working in this company for 2 years. John will have been waiting for 2 hours by the time I reach the airport today. So far, we have discussed the affirmative form of the future perfect continuous tense. Let us now discuss the negative and interrogative forms. The negative form of the future perfect continuous tense can be expressed as subject plus shall or will plus not plus have been plus present participle of the verb. As discussed earlier, the present participle of the verb is the root form of the verb plus ing. The interrogative form of the future perfect continuous tense can be expressed as shall or will plus subject plus have been plus present participle of the verb plus question mark. Examples: by tomorrow, she will have been preparing for her IELTS test for 3 days. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is by tomorrow, she will not have been preparing for her IELTS test for 3 days. The interrogative form is will she have been preparing for her IELTS test for 3 days by tomorrow? Now let's consider another example. When I turn 50, I shall have been living in London for 15 years. This is the affirmative form. The negative form is when I turn 50, I shall not have been living in London for 15 years. The interrogative form is when I turn 50, shall I have been living in London for 15 years? The future perfect continuous tense is rarely used in English language. This brings us to the end of this lesson. If you haven't left a review on this course, you are humbly requested to do it now. Stay blessed. Have a good day.